Hey everyone, and welcome to the channel. Today I'm going to be looking at the Dioramatic Itachi Uchiha figure from Naruto Shippuden. Now this is an Ichiban kuji figure originally, which is basically a raffle prize figure that's held in Japan. But for the international market they release this figure and 3 other alternate versions of it, basically without the raffle, and you can just buy whichever design you want. Each one is the same, effectively, it's the same sculpt, but there are 4 different ways that it's coloured. So there's the brushed, the anime, the brush tones, and the tones. Basically that means one that's shaded properly, as like a regular statue would be, the anime, which is mostly unshaded but is quite anime accurate in terms of colouring, the brush tones, which is usually like black and white with one primary colour associated with it, and then the tones, which is just a whole grayscale black and white type figure. And this is the A version, which is the brush, and you can see by this one being highlighted here. Now I wasn't sure which one to get between the brush and the anime. Ended up going with the brush because I thought that heavy shading meant it would be better, so that's pretty much why I chose it. But I had to think really hard about it, because I did like the idea of a black and white figure with red being the primary colour, because red on the Akatsuki robes and in Naruto is such a prominent colour. And I never really cared much for the figures that already come grey and things like that, but for some reason this one really spoke to me, so I really had to think really hard about it if I wanted the coloured one or the black and white one. I just ended up going with the A brush, and I kept thinking harder and harder because I thought I just had to have one of them, I couldn't have both. So anyway, I bought both. So this is the brush and the brush tones. Basically it's just the grey version with the touch of colour, and you can see the boxes are pretty much... Ooh, always be careful where your light is. So you can see the boxes are pretty much identical, it's just got the different colouring styles on them. And yeah, that's pretty much it. The main difference on this side is you can just see which parts are highlighted. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I bought 2 of the same figure because I thought it looked cool, and it's so good I bought 2, or something like that. But yeah, it's just I really could not decide which one I liked more aesthetically. And who knows what I'll do if I don't want both at some point. But I at least wanted one of them, and I just really couldn't decide, and they're not super expensive, so I thought I'd grab them. But enough about that, let's open them up and have a better look. So here they are set up, and the unboxing process is a little bit annoying just because of how heavily wrapped these figures are, but they do look very cool. I am pretty happy that I went with this, and it's a really cool aesthetic choice between the 2, and you can see just how much paint changes a sculpt and what you notice and what you don't notice about a figurine, which is very cool. But to start things off, we'll be looking at the brush. Now this is in 2 pieces, which is the chair and Itachi themselves. So if we grab Itachi, you can see the nice sculpt work that's gone into this. We will talk about paint separately to the sculpt, but it's a fairly simple pose. It's just him resting on the chair, ready for whatever comes his way, most likely Sasuke invading the Akatsuki hideout. But just looks really cool, and so does the chair. There's all this nice chipped and sculpted in damage, and there's this crow feather-like design spreading out from the base, which is quite cool too. Itachi has a groove on his back that lets him slot into the base. He just rests on it, which is fine, and it's a pretty simple pose, but it achieves what it needs to just fine. There's some beautiful folds in it. I like that he's not using both sleeves of the robe. Just looks good. You can see his ring there. It's not the best sculpt, but it's fine. But the robe itself looks good. You can see his undershirt is sculpted in, as well as his necklace. His hair's looking pretty good. It's simple but nice, and His headband looks good as well, and you can see his feet like so. The sculpt is simple, and it is the same for both figures. And again, the chair is just very simple, nothing too crazy. But the major part is the paint job. Now, his eyes look incredible. That is some of the best detail work I've seen on these, and they are not decals. They appear to be actually painted, which is so cool. The only problem that I have with this in terms of like paint are paint errors, because this is still a prize figure at the end of the day. And you can see just above his headband there's this little bit of silver here, so the oversprayed just a little bit and there's a bit of a mess. I can probably fix that, but it's just a bit of a shame that that's how it is out of the box. Now, as this is the brush version of the figure, there is shading. So I have seen the anime in person, like the anime color in person, and basically the entire coat is just black. There's nothing special about it. But here, all of these lighter shades are actually painted. So you can see it's as if light's reflecting off it. So it's this nice sort of grey or light blue on the black, and it gives a really, really nice effect. It's as if light is actually hitting him, which looks really, really good. I like that. The colours are quite simple, but achieves what it needs to do. The colour on the base is quite nice. I like the dull reds and the Uchiha logo, which is cool. The clouds on the robe look great. And they even painted his fingernails, which is good too. And you can see some more shading on his feet and some toenail paint as well. They detailed the bottom of his feet, and yeah, it's pretty good. They didn't even need to paint this, but they did anyway. As you might also see, the finish on the plastic isn't the cleanest, but thankfully that's only on the back, so it's not too bad. A little bit scratched up on the back here as well, which is a shame, but his hair is also shaded. So that's very cool. It's a very well done figure. Very happy with that. All the paint apps are pretty good. There are some issues, but it's not enough to ruin it. This is a prize figure at the end of the day. But moving him to the side, let's have a look at the grayscale one. So this is the brush tones, which is all in grey and different shades of grey except for the red. And you can see it changes the aesthetic of the figure so much. In particular, it makes his eyes even more piercing than they were before. Looks so good. Look at that clean paint detail. Looks so good. The red just makes his outfit pop more. It makes the collar stand out way more. And see his hands looking pretty good. The red on the robe is just so much more vibrant. And they even shaded the greys. It's not just grey. There's still like the same shading that they applied on the other figure, which is cool, although some of the cutoff points are a little more obvious, like this here. But still, again, from the front, you're not going to notice it. But looks pretty damn cool. And the base is also different. So it's not that sort of greeny brown, like olive brown sort of colour. And we've got some red feathers instead of the black to purple. And it just looks really, really nice. And just makes Itachi pop that much more as he's just resting on the chair looking menacing. And that just looks so good. I can't really decide which one I like more. I probably like the brush more than the brush tones, but I really like what the brush tones is trying to achieve. It's just a really cool aesthetic choice. And they're just really cool together. I'm really happy with how that turned out. It also shows how good light contrasts with greys, because you can see all this shadowing in his neckline and on his face. You can see all the detail, whereas when light hits the other one, some of that detail is lost, unfortunately. But generally both of them are good, especially since they are both shaded. If I had the anime here, you'd be able to tell that it doesn't hold up quite as well as the others, but it is, at the end of the day, a matter of preference, because all of the figures are good. But something that you can do is you just pop them off and trade shares, so you can see if the aesthetic changes at all. I actually don't mind the brush on the grey chair. It's pretty fine, although there's a little bit of like detail lost because it's sort of black and grey. But this makes the figure stand out way more because there's all this colour and then just this grey Itachi, which is kind of cool as well. Effectively, he's just like a noodle stopper, but the way he's weighted, you wouldn't be able to put him on anything, but like you might be able to get away with putting other noodle stoppers on it. Like, you could probably do this. Probably put Makima on the throne, which is kind of cool. But yeah, this is my first dioramatic, I think that's how you say it, dioramatic, because it's a diorama figure, and they've done a few so far, mainly My Hero Academia. They've started to do a little bit of One Piece, and this is the first Naruto one they've done. And what a one to start off with. It's so good. There's not enough Itachi stuff out there, and this is fantastic. Really looking forward to what they do next. So far, the dioramatic have got a cool aesthetic going. The My Hero ones have got a clever sort of impact comic book style going on. The One Piece ones genuinely do kind of look like dioramas in motion, which is pretty cool. And these ones are just cool aesthetic pieces. So I'm keen to see where they go with these. Some JoJo ones wouldn't be too bad. But JoJo figures are notoriously hard to get the faces right, so I don't know if I would actually want something like that. But I'd be keen to see where they go with some more Naruto ones. And yeah, they're just really, really good figures. Doesn't matter which one you go for, they are all fantastic. But yeah, highly recommend. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I hope you enjoyed that video, and I will see you all next time.